Hello and welcome to my Nyckelharpa YouTube channel. Now you're probably wondering what I am doing here with a whole load of cooking ingredients in front of me. Well, today is Kanelbullar dag, and that means it is Cinnamon Bun day. And so what could I do but bake some cinnamon buns? Now I have my grandma's old recipe here, which is in Swedish, and I'm going to bake this, and hopefully you will be able to bake along too. Now, if you know me and you know Johnny, then you'll know that cooking isn't really a forte, but I have been known to dabble with cinnamon buns and mostly banana cake, and also cake in a cup. If you look at my Instagram, you'll find my wonderful cake in a cup, or mostly cake out of a cup, as it turned out. So we'll see what happens here. So we're going to get straight to the baking so that I can get this edited and up on October the 4th, because it already is quite late in the day. Now the first thing I need to do is to prep the yeast. And normally I would use real yeast, and I would go to Tesco's and I would go to the baking department and I would ask for 50 grams of real live yeast. But I don't have 50 grams of real live yeast, so, and I did this before, I'm going to do an experiment with a packet yeast. And in fact the instructions on this say put this dry into the mixture and it should still work. Let's find out if it works this time. It has worked for me in the past, maybe it'll work now. So I need to clear off all of the ingredients from the table and put them somewhere else and start cooking. Now the first thing I would do in these instructions is to put the yeast into a bowl and start off with that, but I'm not going to be using a live yeast. So I'm actually going to start with the second instruction, which is melt 150 grams of butter into here. Obviously I'm going to go into the kitchen. I did think about doing this in the kitchen, but yeah, let's not go there. That's Johnny's domain, although he's allowed me to go in and use the oven. So I need to melt 150 grams of this. Did I mention cooking not a strong point? That'll do. Right, I'm going to go and I need this later. I'm going to go and melt this and be back right back. So I have my melted butter in my saucepan. So that was smelt smöret. Tillsätt mjölken och låt bli fingervarmt. I'm going to add the milk into here. How much milk do I need? I need 5 decilitres of milk. Now 5 decilitres, I need my decilitre jug, my decilitre measurer. So my decilitre measurer, and because decilitres isn't really a thing that we use in the UK, I'm going to weigh it and tell you how much a decilitre is. Won't be able to put that down there much longer. So, I have my decilitre jug, I've zeroed it, I'm now adding in. So it turns out that 1 decilitre is, in this case, 112 grams. I should probably write that down, but I'm going to continue using the decilitre jug. So add the milk and let it be finger warm. So this is 1. 2. 5 decilitres of milk. I'll put up somewhere in here where that is in weight. Now I am going to make sure that it is finger warm. That is finger warm. Simply stir the yeast directly into the dry ingredients before adding any liquid, then knead and prove, rise your dough. I'm going to add the yeast. So, stirring. Add the rest sugar. So now I want sugar, salt and flour. So here we go, let's add the sugar. Sugar, 1 decilitre of sugar. Again, decilitre mug. So I have my sugar, yeast. So 1 decilitre of sugar appears to be about 90 grams. I think it's time to add all of this to the bowl. So here we go. I did mention about cooking being a strong point. Right. So now I am adding the sugar. Stir that in. A bit of salt. So it is half a teaspoon of salt. So this is hopefully salt. Okay. And finally we get to the flour. So with the flour, about 1.4 litres or 15 decilitres, but we're going to work it in, and it's very approximate. In fact, my grandma said you just kind of work it in until it doesn't need work, till you don't need any more. So it's about 15. So here we go. 1. Now, if you've ever played or you've ever seen us do a dance, trying to remember to count the numbers of times through we've played things is quite tricky. Trying to count how many decilitres of flour I've used is going to be nigh on impossible. Now it's starting to get more of a consistency of dough, and I'm going to have to start getting my fingers dirty very soon. Um, 11, 12. Yeah, with that, I'm now going to take off everything. Right. So now I have to use my fingers to work this into a dough and try and not let this get on the carpet. I might speed this video up a little bit, because I understand for those of you who can really cook out there, this might be a little painful to watch. I very much doubt Johnny will ever watch this video, and I don't think I'll have the BBC calling for my services as a cook. Bake Off, here we come! Or not. I've been wanting to get around to doing this video for quite some time now, and when I realised it was Kanelbullar dog, I thought, yes, today is the day I'm going to do this. So I'm now working it in. I am, as it says, arbeta till en smidig deg. Work it into a good, a nice, a perfect, an awesome dough. So basically we need to work all the stickiness out. Of course, if you're already a baker, you know that. And if you're not a baker and you're watching me do this, then good luck. I do think we are nearly there. Oh. Now, I've already put the oven on, and 250 degrees is the temperature that it tells me in my recipe here. Suppose define sticky. One more. Then I'm pretty sure that'll be it. Now the next bit of the instruction says I have to let it rise for 30 minutes. So as soon as I've finished here, I'm going to go and fetch a clean tea towel and let it rise. You could put it in a warm place, so I might stick it in the kitchen, or I might just leave it here next to the stage lights. Yeah. So, here is my ball of dough. Springy, springy. That's that for the moment. Turn your oven on 250 degrees and let this rise for 30 minutes. And I've taken my watch off, so I've no idea what the time is. 2:05, I'll be back in half an hour to see if this has risen. In the meantime, I'm going to tidy up and put some things away. So I've let my dough rise for half an hour, and whilst I've done that, I've turned the oven on and I've done a bit of washing up. And I've also melted some more butter in here because we need some more butter. So it's time to get the dough out. Stick that there. Now, so we have the dough, and we're going to sort of split it into sections. So just one. It recommends 2 to 4. I don't have a very large working space here, so I've just quartered it there. Now I'm going to put some flour on here. This is where I really will need to hoover the lounge afterwards. So I just put the flour out. It's got my rolling pin here, and I'm also going to put some flour on this, and then I'm going to roll this out. I'm going to make it into a sort of a rectangle shape. And I'm going to roll it out so it's about centimetre thick, maybe no less than a centimetre thick. I'm going to roll it out so that it's nice and even. It'll be roughly a square. Turn it over, just get a stretch, making sure it's the same shape all over. So how thick is it? To be honest, I have no idea how thick is it going to be. Not too thin, not too thick. So let's get a stretch. Just rolled out quite thinly, but not as thinly as if I were to make papacoca, which, seeing as this is about bulla, so when I have rolled it out, so it's less than a centimetre thick. Now Now I am going to take my little pastry brush, and with the melted butter, I'm just going to spread the butter over the rolled out dough. Again, so I move this. So you stand a better chance of seeing what I'm doing. So there you go, over the rolled out dough. Stick that there. Next, I'm going to take sugar. And I'm going to just spread liberally over the whole thing. Shed a load of sugar. And now the important bit. So important, this is new. Which means I have to take off the lid. Cinnamon, definitely says cinnamon. And now I'm going to also spread very liberally, because after all, it is cinnamon buns, because it's Cinnamon Bun Day. You can never have too much cinnamon. So, plenty of cinnamon. Then I'm going to take the edge, I'm going to roll it. So I'm rolling the long edge. So now I have a nice long roll of cinnamon bun. And it should be nice and even. Mine isn't always even, so I just kind of pull it a bit. Now this now brings us on to the next stage, which is, I have a tray here, in fact I'll just leave it there. And I have papas former. Cupcakey things. Now I'm going to put these. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put these. I've got them in little what are they called? Yorkshire pudding dints. But you don't have to. I just quite like that. So. And then to stop it sticking, stop the dig, the thing sticking. I'm just going to put some. Butter at the bottom there. I do know that my sister has been baking today on Kanelbullar Day, and my mum will be watching this going, oh, no. So now I take my knife and I'm going to cut them into 2.5 centimetre bits. So there we go. I cut it, I stick it in, and I kind of push it down a bit. So 2.5 centimetre bit. Now on my instructions this says I'll get about 32 bullars. I have a feeling I'm going to get more than 32 bullars. Or fewer, you never know. Depends on how much of the dough I eat. So when I'm putting it in, I'm putting it so that the roly-poly, so you can see it in the top, and then I give it a little bit of a squish in the top. I need to go and get some more from the kitchen. There is a further stage that I need to do, which is to cover the top in kind of mixed up egg. But I'm going to do that later because I've only got one brush. I'm going to use the brush to do that. So I'm going to put this in the kitchen and get another tray. So same thing. I'm going to get two. Oh, I'm going to get two out of this one. There's a tiny little bit at the end. Now, you're definitely not supposed to do this. But I love it. Oh. Just stick that in there. You have to let them rise until they're twice the size anyway. So, you now get to do that again. Right, so ready for the spreading of the butter. Then the scattering of the sugar. end of the cinnamon, the rolling up, and then I'm just going to cut them all. Halfway through. Final piece. Thing is, if you do eat the dough, it does kind of make you burp or yeasty. So the last bit is to take an egg, mix it together, and then we're going to paint that on the top of the bullars, which gives it a nice brown glaze. So now we need to crack this egg in there without getting any shell in it. Mix it all up. So I've taken the egg and I have kind of whisked it, but not like really hard, just to mix the white and the yellow together. Now I'm going to cover to give the nice brown glaze on each of these bullars. And then we set them to rise until they are twice the size. That does mean you have to remember how big they were to start with. So that means I have to fetch them all back from the kitchen where they've all been raising themselves. That one's not there. Okay, let's go and pick some more. The question is, how many did I make in the end? It said this will make about 32. Either I made mine really small, I think it's definitely more than 32, but I shall count them. So that was just one egg that I did. Now the fun bit of this is going to be me editing all of this together afterwards into a coherent little YouTube clip. It's not going to be easy. So you can see my prowess in the kitchen. Okay, so the instructions say it makes about 32. I've made 50. So maybe I made mine a little small. Who knows? They're all now covered with egg. Penslat med egg. So now it's time to put the ones that have risen twice as much in the oven. So the very first lot, I think, are ready to go in the oven. And they're 250 degrees, 7 to 8 minutes. But I'm going to watch them very carefully because I'm not really used to the oven. Perhaps I should call Johnny in to help me. Anyway, so it's time to put the bullars in the oven and hope that they've risen enough and that they taste awesome and not burnt. So we have the first buns out of the oven. Hopefully they're okay. We'll have to let them cool down. They're sounding quite solid. Oh, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Second lot. we have got 2 of these racks, but the other one is currently keeps the computer cool whilst we're live streaming. Oh, that's a lot of bullers. Unfortunately, Johnny is wheat intolerant, so he can't actually eat these. So I'm going to have to eat the lot. So a tip is to put them in the freezer. And a good friend of mine gave me some bullers once, and I thought, I want to try and eke them out. So I'll leave them in the freezer and I'll just defrost them as and when I like them. Turns out, frozen buller is awesomely delicious. So that didn't really help. So my final batch of bullers out of the oven onto the cooling racks. Oh, that is a sight to behold. Well, I think that's quite cool. I like that. They will look fine. The yeast rose, and I haven't tried one yet. The ones on top are hot, so I'll choose one that's been out of the oven for a while. So, happy Kanelbullar Day! Yes! I love bullers. And they're all mine.